Governor Raimondo, what changed when you last accepted the forced resignations of Melba and Tom? Between now and then, what specifically did Eric find that made you say Roberts needed to go as well?
So when Eric got in there, and I'll let him speak to it too, this is the first time, his report to me is the first time I've received a truly unvarnished, not rosy picture of the situation. So, prior to this, it had been represented to me that, yes, we had glitches, but we're fixing them quickly. And when he got in there and really got under the covers, and he did an exhaustive work, talking to all the stakeholders, talking to employees, talking to customers, talking to advocates, it was more broken than I realized.
Governor, there were a lot of reports about problems with UHIP right from the start.
Let me say one more thing. So, the thing is, if you were part of creating it, it's only natural that you would be part of defending it and saying it's not as bad as you might think, Governor. And it was only when I sent in a fresh person, he said, it is as bad as you think, Governor. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. I'm going to give you a straight scoop, for which I am incredibly grateful, because I can't fix a problem until I know how big it is. And that's why I think, in this instance, a fresh set of eyes to give me unvarnished information is so important, because when you know how big the problem is, then you can start to solve it.
This kind of goes to what you just said, Governor, but what do you say to the Rhode Islanders who say these problems have been well documented for 6 months? What does it say about the state if it takes almost 6 months to get a handle on a problem of this magnitude?
They haven't, actually. They have not been. First of all, it went like 5 months ago. Second of all, we always knew the first month or two would be difficult. So, and actually we were doing manual workarounds, which isn't sustainable. So it wasn't until we really started to get into, later in the fall and in December that it became clear we weren't catching up. And so it was at that point that we said, okay, we have to take a harder look at this.
We've interviewed people since the launch on Channel 10, other outlets as well, who have suffered, their families have suffered, be it food stamps, health insurance, because they didn't get benefits. So you were aware of the human suffering. Why not step in earlier on that account?
Well, we had been, right? So we were actively managing it. We got Deloitte. We took steps at each step. It's not like we were doing nothing. We just didn't do enough fast enough, because we had been led to believe, principally by Deloitte, that they were on it, they were fixing it, that it was getting better, until it became clear that it wasn't getting better as fast as we needed to get better, and we weren't digging out as fast as we needed to.
Do you intend to seek more input from healthcare providers, vendors, clients, those kinds of people? Have they been involved enough in the process?
I would, yes, to your first question, and that's a big focus of what Eric's done. I mean, he did a broad stakeholder engagement process, like you said, with employees, with customers, with nursing homes, with child care providers. Also, one of the things that became clear through those discussions is we didn't give people enough training. So it's a whole brand new system, and they weren't given enough training. So, we need to do more than that. Also with our federal partners, we had a good meeting last week with FNS, the Food and Nutritional Services of the federal government. So we also need to get our federal partners, to the table to help us figure this out.
Can you give us an example of the industry best practices that Deloitte has not followed?
One good example is doing releases during work hours that cause outages. That's not the last one.
If the system is broken, and is it a possibility you may have to ditch the entire system and create a new system? And how much will that cost, and who will pay for it?
So, as you can imagine, I've asked that question many times. And at this point, another big change we made a month ago was I put in place a full-time experienced technologist, which had not happened before. So when Tom Burton resigned, we brought in a new full-time technologist. This is all he's doing 7 days a week is this. It is his opinion and the opinion of my team that this is a fixable system. And in fact, if you look at what's happened, again, this is not, the unfortunate thing here is this isn't unique. This is unfortunately how government IT rollouts tend to go. Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Kentucky, California. So, and they get fixed.
Okay, but
And this will get fixed. I had just hoped and had been assured by Deloitte that they learned from past mistakes, and this one would have been different. The other big learning for me in this, so the question I have is, how do we get better when we go forward? What's going to happen with our next IT rollout? One thing that is crystal clear, which I've learned in the last month, is that we didn't have enough high-quality IT state staff to hold Deloitte accountable. So we were overly reliant on them. And when they came to us and said, look at this dashboard, it's all green, our CTO said, he questioned it, but they had a lot of people. We didn't have enough tech staff on our side or enough experienced technologists on our side to hold them accountable, which, as I've personally been spending a lot of time talking to other states, talking to the people who did the turnaround at healthcare.gov, and that's a very common thing in the public sector. And so one of my takeaways is I'm putting a pause on all major IT rollouts for the state, and we need to rethink how we do IT, because this is too familiar of a story all over the country, and I'd like to see Rhode Island get it right next time.
is there a budget?
Yes. Look, at this point, we need to fix it. We need them working. We need them totally motivated. I brought this up the chain. I've elevated it, and I would like to not have to go that route. I would like them to renegotiate the contract. They've already started to bring in more resources, a higher level technologist, a higher level architect. We've elevated up. So it would be my hope and intention to basically they need to deliver us the service we pay for, deliver us the product we pay for. Having said that, I will absolutely sue and hold them accountable if they need to do that.
So Governor, what exactly is Deloitte's response to this comprehensive report, and how do you work with them while you're publicly threatening litigation? How does that work? And if that doesn't work, where do you go?
Yeah. So you put your finger on what makes this so hard to fix. When they brought in more senior people, I think they were even surprised, the more senior people, that the system is more broken than they realized and than they have been led to believe. So I would say they've come to the table now, and at least at this point, they're saying, basically, you're right. We delivered a product that wasn't where it should have been. We're going to step up and take you to the finish line.
Could they put that in writing? I mean, is that more than just daily conversation with them? Are they committing? This is a huge legal agreement contract here, right? So are you asking them to document at this stage that they are as badly broken as this report represents?
I'm asking them to renegotiate the whole contract. So yes, in fact.
And they're open
Yes.
to that?
Yes.
Is there a timetable for renegotiating the contract?
Now, as fast as we can. We're working on it right now.
Do you
I don't know how long it will take.
We've already begun discussions, and they will continue in earnest next week. We'll see how long it takes to get it right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how the symbiotic relationship exists as you're renegotiating a contract and you're fixing a problem at the same time.
Yes, it's tense,
Yeah.
to be clear. This has not been an enjoyable weekend. I mean, this is a tense situation. Their reputation is on the line, and they know they've delivered us a product which is not consistent. They're a top-tier firm, and this is not a top-tier product. And they've said to us, we're going to get it fixed. We want to get it fixed. I'm very engaged myself now, and they know that they're not gonna get out of this until they do fix it. So let us renegotiate and work on it. I will say, we could have their attention in a whole new way, and they're giving us more resources than they ever have. And finally admitting, the thing I can say to you is, the big difference is people are finally admitting the problem is as big as it is. So now we need a little time to dig out.
Governor, one criticism I've been hearing from people in the last 48 hours is that your management style maybe was not conducive to people being fully frank with you about that the system wasn't going to be ready, that you so badly didn't want to delay, and that you feel kind of a failure is not an option attitude. I mean, people didn't feel comfortable telling you in September about concerns that they had. Have you given Olivia that? Have you reflected on that at all?
I have, and no, I don't, I have to say. It was pressure, no doubt about it. High-ranking members of the General Assembly said, deliver this now. There had been a delay. I do have a bias towards action, no doubt about it. I feel very responsible to make things happen for Rhode Island. But there was ample opportunity. I mean, quite the opposite. I was the one saying, are you sure this is ready? We did take a pause. It was supposed to go in July. We held until September. Are you sure this is ready? I asked Deloitte, can you guarantee me this won't be like Kentucky? Oh yes, these are the steps we've taken. This is why it's going to be different. So I don't think so, no.
Governor, you say there's a lot.
And as I say, for a while, I think we were keeping up. These things are just hard. We knew when we rolled it out, the first few months were going to be rocky. And we were keeping up for a while.
What was the moment where your mindset shifted from we're getting through this, and most of us reporters got pushback that we were overhyping it as reporters. Yeah. And at some point, early January, and by then you had said to yourself, no, this is pretty bad, and I need to make a much bigger change. And when did your mindset shift?
Basically, when like you say, when we were just drowning in it. So we weren't able to, we were going the wrong direction. So it's a one thing to have a 10,000 backlog, but you're going from 10,000 to 9,000 to 8,000. It's another thing when you go in the wrong direction, and it just became clear that, my thing was, I'm not a technologist, but I said to them, this isn't working. I know enough to know that what you're telling me isn't right, because we're going the wrong direction.
Governor, you used the phrase just a minute ago that you finally got the straight scoop. That would be from Eric Beane, who went over there in 30 days, he gives you the straight scoop. The Pina, Roberts, DBAs, they can never give you the straight scoop after all these months?
Yes, is the answer to that.
Are you disappointed with DBAs? Is he next?
He's not next. He wasn't, directly in making these decisions. I will say, they also, it's interesting you left out Tom Burton, because he was the technologist. Fundamentally, this is a technology problem. And our vendor told our CTO that this was ready to go. And our CTO represented that this was ready to go.
Melba and Roberts were your handpicks.
Yes, and they're gone. I will say, we're not the only state that has had these problems. I believe we're the only state that's attacking it with this level of accountability. And as I say, we have to fix it.
Speaking of the backlog that you mentioned, how many jobs do you think are going to come back? Temps and the contracts that you mentioned?
So we're already in the process of hiring more eligibility technicians. There were 25 permanent positions, and we're backfilling up to 20 part-time positions. We're also in conversations with Local 580 over some recalls of some of the employees affected by the layoffs, and we'll be out with more announcements soon about additional positions that we're going to post. The number of full-time positions will be around the number that we were before go live. at which time there was a net loss of about 60, but there will be an additional surge of staffing on a term-limited basis to help us get through the backlog, which continues to grow.
Governor, do you feel like Deloitte purposely misled you or lied to you?
No, I just think that they presented me with a rosier picture than they were. I mean, I think the incentive for a vendor is to want to please the client. I really think that's what this was. Everyone just wanted to deliver. Like Ted said, we were behind schedule, it had already been delayed. You know, we were behind schedule, we had delayed it once or twice already. We were coming upon open enrollment. If we had missed the September deadline, we would have had to push until, I think, February, right, to get fully through open enrollment. So there was an instinct to say, it's good enough to go, except it wasn't.
Is there a dollar amount associated with what you expect to demand of Deloitte for all of these costs that the state is incurring because of all of the problems?
We're working through that now. You know, certainly the hiring of more people will cost some money. So that is exactly what we're trying to do.
Besides hiring, what other things would be factored into that? Would that be fines from the federal government, things like that?
That or, you know, if we made any mistakes in paying benefits.
You talk about in this report that it appears, at least as far as SNAP, that applications were pushed through that may not have been eligible. Would you say that likely did happen, that benefits were paid that should not have been, and also people did not receive benefits that they should have?
We are concerned that when we get to the audit stage and there's quality control of the payments that were made in the aftermath of Go Live, that there will be a much higher error rate than we've had in the past.
Is there a need to change some of the culture from what you've learned in terms of your administration of people's voices being able to be heard? There are a lot of people who I spoke with off the record who had objected to things that were going on and they couldn't get their voices heard, and apparently you never heard them. So is there a need to really re-examine how your administration deals with all the voices and how they get heard?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a learning that, again, that's why I'm saying new eyes, new faces, new leadership. You can imagine that if you spent a year or two of your life working on something, it's a natural human instinct to be defensive of it. And so when someone says, this isn't quite right, you'd say, no, we took care of that, etc. So that's why I'm bringing in a new team and a new technologist to say, okay, change the culture. It's okay to bring forward problems. We can't fix the problem until we know how big it is.
What have you learned?
That. I've also learned a lot. Again, I've been spending a lot of time talking to a lot of people who have the battle scars of bad governmental IT rollouts. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who've had that. And it's just clear to me we have to really rethink the way government does IT. We are overly reliant on our vendor. These are really technical situations, and we just need more and higher quality and more experienced people in the state to be able to say, I don't care if your dashboard says it's green, it's not.
We have time for one more, folks.
And so that's a big learning for me, and that's why I'm, trying hard. And, it's these systems, they've been working on this for 4 years.
Employees must be very frustrated. Are you having trouble retaining employees in their current positions? I mean, we bring on more, but what about paying on to the ones who have kind of struggled through the past 6 months?
Yeah. So I'll let you answer that. Definitely, morale is an issue, and that's why I began by not only apologizing to our clients, but apologizing to employees whose voices weren't heard and who have had to work harder in more difficult situations. That'll be a challenge for Eric and for Anya. I hope they stick it out with us, and I hope that now they feel listened to and validated in a way that they haven't been until now. Because we need them. You know, we need everybody. We need our vendor, we need our employees, the advocates. We need to fix this, so we need everybody in the boat rowing in the same direction.
Just a last question, just as a good faith sign, should Deloitte be here? Or will they be here for some kind of public presentation, so it shows some kind of shoulder-to-shoulder solution?
I'd be happy to get them out here. I mean, this was important for me to talk to the public, to say, we made mistakes, I'm sorry, we're gonna fix it, and here's the plan, and we're going at it with a new sense of urgency. But I do think Deloitte should have to sit in front of you, so we'll work on that.
Can the acting head offer?
It's in the contract now, after Greg just went on Twitter, it looked like the contract had some level
Yeah.
of you need to deliver.
Like Dan said, this is a complex contract, and so we need a little time to sit with them. I want to renegotiate the whole thing. And it's premature for me to say exactly how much money we're getting back, this, that, and the other. The other thing I'll say is every day matters with this, like literally every day matters. And so that's how I'm approaching this, that's how I'm coaching my team. Although it might take us a year to make this perfect, every single day we're going to make progress. And so right now my focus is more people from Deloitte working every day. At the end of the day, did you get that done? Did you fix that code? Is this interface working? So that's where my head is right now, but also we're renegotiating.
Thank you, Governor.